हेलो एवरीवन, इस वीडियो में हम लोग बात करेंगे पॉनकिट के बारे में।
अच्छा।
एक नया वल्नरेबिलिटी है जो कि लाइक ना नया तो नहीं है। इसका जो पता चल गया था पिछले साल ही, बट इसका जो एडवाइजरी है वो अभी 25 जनवरी को रिलीज हुआ है। बेसिकली इट इज अ लोकल प्रिविलेज एस्केलेशन वल्नरेबिलिटी। सो इफ यू हैव एक्सेस टू अ सिस्टम, ठीक है, आपके पास किसी सिस्टम का एक्सेस है, यू कैन गेन मोर प्रिविलेजेस। दैट मीन्स आप रूट यूजर बन सकते हो और बेसिकली आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव प्रिविलेजेस गेन कर सकते हो।
ओके।
So this video is all about those things कि local privilege escalation होता क्या है, पॉनकिट क्या है, ये Polkit's pkexec पैकेज क्या है जिसके अंदर ये vulnerability है जिसको नाम पॉनकिट दिया है। एंड इस vulnerability को एक CVE भी दिया है, that is CVE-2021-4034। Now the video will start। हम exploit कैसे करना है इसके बारे में ही बात करेंगे, और हम लोग ये भी बात करेंगे कि इसको फिक्स कैसे करना है। एक टेम्पररी पैच भी है इसका और एक परमानेंट पैच भी है। So we will talk about everything in this video.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. Today I am going to make a new video, so please whatever.
Let's first read the advisory जो कि Colsys ने दिया है। So it says that the Colsys research team has discovered a memory corruption vulnerability in Polkit's pkexec। और Polkit's pkexec है क्या? Basically, it's a SUID root program that is installed by default on every major Linux distribution. That is true. वो सारे major Linux distributions पर है, from Ubuntu to CentOS, okay, Red Hat, Fedora, Gentoo, everything, right? But ये pkexec है क्या? Okay, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बात कर लेते हैं। So suppose you are not root user, okay, आपके पास admin level privileges नहीं है, आप सारे के सारे चीजें logs वगैरह आप नहीं देख सकते, ठीक है। You have some specified permissions, ठीक है, सिस्टम के अंदर आप सारी चीजें नहीं देख सकते। In Linux root user के पास ये सारी permissions होती है, okay। When you go from normal user to root user, इसको हम लोग local privilege escalation बोलते हैं। Basically we call it privilege escalation, but we are doing this locally। हम उसको locally system पर ही कर रहे हैं, that's why we call it local privilege escalation। Okay, so now let me show you the man page for pkexec। So pkexec allows an authorized user to execute another program as another user। Let's talk about pkexec, okay। So what it is that it have a piece of code in which it uses command line arguments, okay। तो हम लोग जब programs run करते हैं, right, हम लोग programs इस तरीके से run करते हैं। So many people have used Go Buster, okay,
Okay.
or you must have used these programs like WP scan, okay।
Okay.
You supply arguments, okay।
Okay.
आप यहाँ पर आर्ग्यूमेंट्स देते हो उनके साथ, लाइक dir, और देन यू विल डू -w -w and then you will supply a word list file here, okay। You will supply a word list file here। What are these things, right? These things are nothing but command line arguments, okay। These are command line arguments। So the problem with this pkexec package is that if you see the advisory here, this advisory I will copy in the description, okay। I will write it down in the description. If you want to read it fully, you can read it, but I will just explain this thing, okay। I will just copy it, and right now let's try to analyze this program, okay। These lines of code, every program starting is with main, okay। ये बताता है कि अब प्रोग्राम को शुरू होना है, okay। So this is the main function here, and now it takes command line arguments here, okay। So these are the number of command line arguments, okay। तो यहाँ पर ये integer variable है, this is specifying कि कितने arguments वहां पर होंगे, okay। मतलब उस प्रोग्राम के साथ pkexec के साथ, suppose we write it like this, pkexec, and then एक argument यहाँ पर है, एक argument यहाँ पर है, okay। So the number of arguments here are 2, okay। So this goes in this variable argc, okay, and the values of these variables जो यहाँ पर उनके अंदर होगा, right, that goes in this argv array, the character array, right। So this is a little bit about command line arguments in C, okay। Now let's see that what is the vulnerability in this package। The vulnerability is that it is starting the array from n is equals to 1, okay। So let's first analyze that how it goes। it goes like this, that you have to use another program as another user. So if you want to use this program, suppose ifconfig is normal user cannot run ifconfig, suppose this is the condition, right? And you want to run this program, so you can use pkexec for this. Okay, now when you do this, it will search for this ifconfig path, okay, either from the environment variable or either from the command line argument that you are given. Okay, तो अगर आप यहाँ पर सीधे उसको बाइनरी दे देते हो, then it will use that program binary, और अगर आप यहाँ पर उसको direct सिर्फ इतना देते हो, then it will search for this the path in the environment variable. Okay, so now the problem is that ये यहाँ पर command line arguments को देखेगा, okay, and whatever the command line, ये जो 610 line है, the 610 line is about getting the path from environment variable. Okay, जो environment variable होता है, path is equals to, okay, यहाँ पर हमारा ये paths होता है, right, so ये जो path है, ये यहाँ से ये लेगा, okay, और इसके अंदर इसका वैल्यू सप्लाई करेगा, सो दिस फंक्शन उसको एक्सपैंड कर देगा, राइट, जो भी हम यहाँ पर नॉर्मल कमांड लाइन आर्गुमेंट डालेंगे उसके पाथ को पूरा एक्सपैंड कर देगा, राइट।
ये क्या है?
सो अब अगर इस पाथ के फर्स्ट इंडेक्स पर इफ देयर इज स्लैश, ओके, इफ देयर इज स्लैश, देन दिस विल नॉट रन, ओके, दैट मीन्स यू आर यूजिंग द रूट डायरेक्टरी, ओके, यू आर यूजिंग दिस रूट डायरेक्टरी, दिस विल नॉट रन. So when it will run, जब ये slash नहीं होगा, that's why there is not equals to here. Okay. Now what will happen is that it will use this s is equals to g find program in path. Okay. So now what will happen is that this is just path. Okay. The path is the directory. Okay. Now it will find some programs at that path, some binaries जिनके अंदर वो program execute होगा. Okay. So program execute होगा, that is the program that will execute you as a root user, ठीक है, जो कि आपको root user बनाएगा, वो program वो वहीं पर होगा जिसको हमको basically हमको वो path environment variable में set करना है, and because there is n is equals to 1 here, okay, it so if you do not supply anything, like if you do not supply, if you supply nothing there in the pkexec, then it will automatically use n is equals to 1 here. ओके, तो n इज इक्वल्स टू 1 तो वहां पे अपने आप पहले से ही रहेगा क्योंकि उसने यहाँ पहले से ही सप्लाई कर दिया उसको, तो बेसिकली इट इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ इनसिक्योर कोडिंग प्रैक्टिस. सो n इज इक्वल्स टू 1 तो यहाँ पर पहले से ही रहेगा, ओके, एंड नाउ यहाँ n इज इक्वल्स टू 1 तो है, बट यू आर नॉट सप्लाइंग एनीथिंग इन द कमांड लाइन आर्ग्यूमेंट, ओके, स्टिल इट विल go with this line, okay, and it will expand the path with this gstrdup and look in the environment variables, and then go with this thing, and there is this exec cv function. I think I'm not able to remember correctly, but and then it will just execute that program जो कि उस path पर हो.
बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग, ये कौन से नशे हैं, ये कौन से नशे हैं.
So now basically what we have to do is that we have to change the environment variable, make a new environment variable basically, and at that path हम लोग को एक utility, एक program बनाना पड़ेगा that will give us root user as /bin/sh or something like this, right? So this is the exploit, how the exploit works. So now as we understood the basics of this vulnerability, I know it's quite not easier to understand it because of these environment variables and how the loops work and other things, like it have some programming concepts in it. But aside from the programming concepts, let's see now how you can exploit it. Okay, so it's I'm in a repo from arts. I don't know how to pronounce it.
हम करते हैं प्रबंध, आप चिंता.
But his name is Andres Regulus. I'm sorry if I have pronounced that wrong. And he have a repo as CVE-2021-4034. Okay, it have a C file here. Let's see the C file, and this have that whole thing here, which I have explained to make an environment variable and then exec CVE this package with no command line arguments and supplying environment variables too. Right, and environment variables have all this thing that I have shown you previously. Right, so now what we have to do is that we will just take this package. Okay, right now I'm in Windows. Okay, so I have to go to a Linux system. I will take this C file, not package, and I will compile it. Okay, make an exploit, and I will just run that exploit. And we will see that as soon as I run this exploit, I will gain root privileges. Okay, so now let's move on to my Linux screen. So before we dive into the exploit, let's see how this local privilege escalation works and what it is, right? So here, suppose this is you, okay, and you are some normal user, okay, you are normal, okay, and this is your boss, okay, and he is your boss. He have clothes here, okay, he have clothes and he have a suit bag in his hand. It have money, okay, right? Basically what I want to say is that इसके पास ज़्यादा privileges है और इसके पास कम privileges है, okay? This normal guy, he cannot execute every command on this machine, on this Linux machine, right? Whereas this root user, इसको root user बोलते हैं, ये कुछ भी execute कर सकता है, right? So if you want to go, currently suppose आप root user नहीं हो, okay, you are just normal user, and if you want to go, you want to escalate your privileges, okay, आपके पास जो permissions है, you want to escalate your privileges from normal user to root user, you use this technique called privilege escalation. So it's basically a pathway in hacking. You first do information gathering, then you do hacking, then you escalate your privileges, and then you clear your logs. So now let's see the exploit. I hope my Ubuntu machine is running. And yeah, so we are in a Linux machine. Let me open terminal and let me open a browser. It's already here in my highlights. So there we are at the repo, the same repo. Let's just click at this POC again. And we have to download this C file, right? So we can just click on raw, take this link, copy it, go to terminal. Okay, so before showing you the things, let me just zoom in also so it will be clear. Okay, so before showing you the exploit, let me show you the OS version and everything, okay, so that you can match up the same thing with your OS versions, right? The patch is already released, okay, and most of the systems are already patched. But if you still haven't patched your system, then I will show you how you can, right? So first, you have to take this exploit, okay? I will just use this wget utility to download this C file, and now if we will hit ls, then we have this C file here. Now C file have to be compiled, okay? You have to generate an executable out of that C file. So we will use GCC, a compiler, to produce an executable, and we will use this -o to output the program. We are naming the executable as exploit, right? I will hit enter, and if I will hit ls, then we have the exploit here now. We have the C file, and we have compiled the C file, made an executable, and named it as exploit. So now if I will run this exploit, then I will gain root privileges. Right? So first I will show you my privileges, which I have. ID, I'm Ubuntu, okay? And who am I? I'm Ubuntu, okay? I'm not root, right? These are, you may see some different name on your system if you have named it different at the time of installation, but this is a normal, that VirtualBox image. So they are by default named as Ubuntu. So now what I will do is that I will just run this exploit. I will run this exploit and I will gain root privileges, right? I will do who am I will do ID. Hacker. And you can see that right now I am root. Okay. So if I will go to cd/root, okay, which is a directory at the /file system, you can see here, you cannot change directory here. You cannot go to cd/root. It will show you permission denied if you are Ubuntu. Okay. Right now I am Ubuntu. So that's what I was talking about, that as a normal user, you don't have enough privileges. Okay, you cannot execute any command. Some commands are only made for privileged users, right? So in order to gain privileges, again, I will just run this exploit. And now I can go to cd/root. It will not show you permission denied. And where we are at /root, right? So that's how this exploit works. Now we have gained more privileges, right? And we have successfully did this thing called local privilege escalation, and we have hacked a Linux box, right? So now let's see how you can mitigate this vulnerability, right? How you can prevent this from happening. Okay. First thing what you can do is that, let me just do exit. Okay. First thing what you can do is that you can pkexec have this permission to execute another programs as another user. So to prevent this from happening, what you have to do is that you have to change the permission of this binary, so that वो और दूसरे programs को as another user execute नहीं कर पाएगा, right? So to do this, the जो path है pkexec का, that is will show you, that is this path /usr/bin/pkexec. Okay, this is that path. Okay, now we have to change the SUID bit. So we will use chmod, and you have to change it to 0755. Okay. It is saying operation not permitted. Yeah, so to change an executable permission, and क्योंकि ये खुद एक ऐसी प्रोग्राम है, pkexec ऐसा एक प्रोग्राम है जो कि एज ए रूट यूजर दूसरे प्रोग्राम से एग्जीक्यूट कर रहा है. सो ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू बी रूट इसको करने के लिए, राइट? सो अगर आप इसको प्रिवेंट कर रहे होगे तो यू मस्ट बी अ सिस्टम एडमिन और समथिंग जिसके पास पहले से रूट लेवल एक्सेस होगा, राइट? सो आई विल जस्ट गो root, not by the exploit right now, by the defined methods, and now I will run the same command. Changing the SUID bit, it will maintain that now pkexec cannot run other programs as other users, right? So but by doing this, you may you may do this one thing, that pkexec अब अगर उसे कोई प्रोग्राम दूसरा रन करना भी होगा, that is a system program or something like this, then वो नहीं कर पाएगा, right? So it's a temporary patch. अगर आपके सिस्टम के लिए अभी तक कोई पैच नहीं आया और परमानेंट फिक्स अभी तक नहीं आया, then you have to do this. But for Ubuntu, permanent fix आ चुका है. What you have to do is that just update your system, okay, and upgrade it. Right, so this is the permanent fix. ये ज़्यादातर systems में पहले से आ चुका है in Red Hat, Ubuntu, okay?
सही है.
In OpenBSD, this pkexec package is there, okay? But you cannot exploit it because when we saw the code, उसके अंदर we saw this code, there is this function execve that is needed, right? In OpenBSD, that is not there, so you cannot exploit it there. But yeah. So you can exploit it in the majority of Linux distribution systems, and this is the permanent fix. You have to update your system, upgrade it, and it will automatically upgrade the version of that pkexec, and then it cannot do this. Okay, and again we have made this thing. We did this thing also. So now let's see. Now let's try to run this exploit once again. See, now I'm running the exploit again, and now you can see that pkexec must be SUID root, right? It is already by default SUID root. That's why it can run any program as any user, right? उसके पास वो पहले से permission होती है, but now you have changed those bits, and now it cannot do this thing.
सही पकड़े हैं.
Okay, by default it is set as 0777. Now you have changed it to 0755. So you are changing the everyone bits. Let me explain this on the Jamboard. So you are changing the bits, right? You are changing it to 0755. So this bit is for everyone, and this bit is for groups, and this bit is for user. right? You have changed, by default it is as 7, okay?
Okay.
So anyone can use this pkexec package and execute anything, okay, as a root user. Now you are changing this SUID bit to 5, so that cannot be done. So that's all what I have to show in this video. That temporary fix is good, but after the permanent fix, just change those SUID bits so that the other program's execution don't stop or something bad won't happen.
Please whatever. Please I want to reach 1 million like